We heard the one shot and then four after, and we just started running.
It's happened again. Students fearing for their lives at school. This time it was before the first bell rang at a California high school. The latest on the lives lost and the condition of the suspected shooter.
Another deadly DUI in our valley. What we know about the victims in a fatal wrong-way chain reaction crash.
Plus, holding them accountable. Nevada, like other states, now going after opioid manufacturers. The latest on the lawsuit in a live report.
News 3 starts right now.
We begin with a traffic update to breaking news. A 14-year-old boy and 16-year-old girl killed after a classmate opened fire at the Southern California high school this morning. I apologize, not a traffic update, but certainly something that has the whole nation's attention right now. Thank you for joining us. I'm Latoya Silman.
I'm Reed Cowan. Okay, so reportedly the suspected gunman turned 16 today. The shooting happened just around 7:30 this morning in Santa Clarita, California. These are live images of a scene that is now quiet, but no less ground zero for a huge investigation that will take several days, asking a lot of questions. Los Angeles County sheriffs say the boy pulled a gun from his backpack in the quad area of Saugus High School and shot 5 other students before then shooting himself in the head on his birthday. One student talking to a reporter describes the chaos.
It was just like 2 or 3 gunshots, and then everyone started running out from the entrance.
And you didn't know at first it was gunshots. What did it kind of sound like at first?
It was just like a big balloon pop, but super loud, and then everyone started running, and it was really scary.
The 3 surviving victims, a 14-year-old boy and girl, along with a 15-year-old girl, remain hospitalized. Their conditions not known at this time. Meanwhile, the suspect's condition listed as grave. LA County sheriffs say that investigators recovered a .45 caliber handgun from the scene with no more bullets left.
Now to an update to breaking news in our area. We've just learned the identity of the woman killed in a wrong-way crash on the I-15 right over near Lake Mead. News 3's Kendall Kim with how police say a 27-year-old, Erica Avila, got behind the wheel they believe impaired.
Nevada Highway Patrol troopers telling us that the person driving the opposite direction into oncoming traffic here on I-15 is the person who was killed in this morning's crash. Take a look as traffic here on I-15 is now officially flowing. Quite a difference from how I-15 looked only a few hours ago. Take a look as this morning a complete freeway shutdown backed up traffic for miles. Now the driver of the mangled black car, reportedly a 27-year-old woman, was seen driving southbound in the northbound lanes around 3:30 this morning. NHP telling us impairment is suspected in this crash. She did hit one car head on, the driver of that car spinning out, hitting a third vehicle before coming to a stop. A 4th driver also involved here, reportedly crashing into a wall while swerving out of the way of this wrong-way driver. And all 3 people had to be taken to the hospital. Thankfully, they're all expected to be okay. Trooper Jason Barachik with the Nevada Highway Patrol telling News 3, with ride shares, taxis, family, and friends, these types of crashes are completely avoidable, but still happen here far too often.
This, unfortunately, is something that we're used to seeing here in Las Vegas. We have the Nevada Highway Patrol routinely, almost nightly, responds to wrong-way drivers on our freeways, and most of the time they're impaired.
Reporting near I-15 in Lake Mead, Kendall Kim, News 3.
Much more on that story to come, a lot of questions to ask. Meanwhile, we're waiting on a very important decision from a district court judge hearing Nevada's lawsuit against opioid manufacturers.
R.C. Wolford sat down today with the state's lead attorney in that case for an update on where it all stands now.
Well, this latest legal battle between the state and opioid manufacturers involves discovery. That's basically what the drug companies will be forced to reveal as evidence. In previous litigation in other states, drug companies successfully argued against releasing their trade secrets, but Nevada is different because trade secrets cannot be sealed if they involve a public health hazard. That's why Robert Eglett, who represents the state in this litigation, says Judge Elizabeth Gonzalez sent a clear message to drug company attorneys in court.
She's made it clear, no, you're not going to do that. You're going to follow Nevada law. You're going to have to figure out a way to produce these documents where only things that are actually under the law should be stamped confidential or highly confidential. And in my view, that's only proprietary information and trade secrets.
Well, Judge Gonzalez is now in the process of drafting an order to determine what documents are protected and which ones need to be produced for that lawsuit to move forward. Latoya.
All right, thanks for the update, Steve. Fallout continues from the first day of public impeachment hearings, with both sides of the aisle claiming that the testimony helped them. This as Democrats pursue the revelation of another phone call involving President Trump. Here's Alice Barr with the latest from Washington.
The first round of public impeachment hearings is in the books.
We are adjourned.
But who won the day depends on who you ask.
The devastating testimony corroborated evidence of bribery.
There's nothing compelling. There's nothing overwhelming.
Democrats focusing on a surprise revelation. Ambassador William Taylor testified a staff member overheard President Trump pushing for Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden during a phone call with Ambassador to the European Union Gordon Sondland, and that Sondland told the staffer,
President Trump cares more about the investigations of Biden.
It's just further confirmation that what the president wanted, above all else, was getting those investigations on a potential opponent in 2020.
Ambassador Sondland will face questions about that newly revealed call and whether military aid to Ukraine was delayed as part of a quid pro quo. His public hearing set for next week, answering Republican complaints that other witnesses didn't speak directly to President Trump.
Hearsay seems to be the basics of most of these allegations.
Though the Trump administration has blocked testimony from those closest to the president, politicians and the public will hear tomorrow from the ousted U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, who testified behind closed doors that she believes she was the target of a smear campaign by the president's allies and felt threatened by the president's comments about her. With both sides campaigning for public opinion, President Trump tweeting today, regular people watching this won't see a reason to impeach him. Alice Barr, NBC News, Washington.
Well, still ahead, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi answered a reporter's question about a clash of legal privileges in the impeachment process. Sinclair correspondent James Rosen has more on that part of the story coming up at 3:30.
The wife of Vice President Mike Pence on the stump in Southern Nevada to get President Donald Trump reelected. Let's take a live look out at the Strip. Karen Pence will see the Strip today. She's going to join local members of the Latinos for Trump Coalition. The Second Lady, as she is called, will also participate in an event to train and mobilize supporters to knock on doors for the president. The event takes place in the East Las Vegas Community Center. I believe this is file video of her with the vice president. I have not heard the vice president is in town with her. But Karen Pence's trip will be open to the public.
Senators Bernie Sanders also in Nevada this weekend to host a town hall. It's at the East Las Vegas Community Center this upcoming Sunday, November 17th. You don't need a ticket to attend, but you're strongly encouraged to RSVP. We posted a complete list of all of the candidates coming to Las Vegas this weekend on our website, news3lv.com. Well, day one of the Demolition Derby now underway at the Plaza Hotel and Casino.
Yeah, it's a 3-day Sin City Showdown Demolition Derby, as it's called, at Core Arena. It's getting ready to kick off. 128 old Detroit Iron cars will battle it out in an elimination bracket to be the last team standing. Can we hear it out there? Oh yeah, they're revving it up. Why do I hear like the chorus to Born to Be Wild? On Saturday, a locals-only heat added, featuring drivers just from the Las Vegas area and in the 1990s and newer car class. For times and ticket prices, head over to news3lv.com. Reminds me of Greece.
Yeah, it does.
All right, how much would you pay for a little bit of a growth spurt by surgery?
Yeah, believe it or not, a local doctor says he can make you taller. And Las Vegas is just one of the only cities in the world, in fact, where you can get this procedure. The News 3 special report up next.
A new show from Cirque du Soleil soon making its world premiere on the Las Vegas Strip, who you can expect to see on the carpet in fewer than 3 hours.
Still missing. Red Rock Search and Rescue asking for the public's help to find a 73-year-old woman where she was last seen.
Suing the Cosmo, we're getting a first-hand look at the lawsuit O.J. Simpson filed against the property for defamation.
And back on attack, more transcripts have been made public as the investigation into the impeachment inquiry against President Trump continues. Now, facing increasing pressure, Trump is now speaking out.
News 3 starts right now.
All right, we begin with some breaking news out of Pennsylvania. More than a dozen train cars gone off the tracks there during a derailment in an area called Hempfield. There were no initial reports of injuries or chemical leaks and no evacuations deemed necessary. The dispatcher, of course, telling us all of this information. Witnesses at that scene reported at least 20 of the cars derailed there. You see all of everything that was inside of those cars spilled out onto the roadways, into the grass on the side. Of course, it's a developing story, and we will continue to follow it as we get more information.
All right, let's talk about the frantic search for a missing Las Vegas woman. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm Reed Cowan. Judith Schnepp vanished 3 days ago. The 73-year-old last seen near Carson and 4th Street in downtown Las Vegas. She had on a dark pink jumpsuit with a silver stripe right down the arms and legs, silver sandals. If you've seen her, you can call Metro's missing persons detail. They really want to find her. 702-828-3111.
All right, we're getting a first-hand look at the lawsuit that O.J. Simpson filed against the Cosmopolitan for defamation. The suit also takes issue with a TMZ report that cites sources from the resort claiming they kicked Simpson off the property for being belligerent and drunk. The incident happened 2 years ago today, about a month after Simpson's release from prison. He served 9 years for robbery and kidnapping stemming from an incident at the Palace Station. Simpson says his probation officer can prove he did not violate the terms of his probation and found the assertions against him false. He's seeking damages in excess of $30,000 along with the cost of to file the suit.
Hey, I want to thank you for all the messages you've sent since our report last night at 11 o'clock about homeless men, women, and children who sleep on our sidewalks and on our streets. So many are sleeping out there. The Las Vegas homeless ordinance, of course, passed. It generated a lot of comments. Those who sleep on the streets when shelter beds are available will be fined in just the coming days. So because of that, we wanted to go where they go. We want to see what they see and really find out why so many of them say the shelters might be available, but they don't want to go into them. Stories on the streets.
There's a lot of good people out here. They're just going through a hard time.
That's Trinidad, who tells me everyone out here has one. Stories like Georgia's, who tells me her dad drove through Georgia and
he thought it was beautiful, so he named me Georgia.
Once, Georgia belonged to somebody. Same for Bob, who says his mother's prayers are the reason he has his wide eyes. She prayed that you would have beautiful eyes, and you did?
That's right. That's what she told me.
And now those eyes have seen some things.
That's right.
Bob's eyes set today on a new reality for the homeless in Las Vegas. Fines for sleeping outside if there's a bed available in a shelter. But Bob, like others we spoke to, avoids the shelters. His friend Ricky tells me,
these shelters ain't what they all say they is. There's no resource. And what little resource there is, only a few people get them. Oh, mice everywhere. They eating your pillow while you sleep.
Casey and Caesar won't go to the shelters either.
They're dangerous, especially for women.
I've never even stayed in one because I'm too scared, honestly, because I do think that they're unsafe. I don't know what can happen. And then if something does happen, who's going to do anything about it? You know?
Will her voice be heard? You know?
Exactly.
And that leads us to Jillian.
I got like 3 weeks ago, dude. They didn't do anything for me. I was a Catholic Charities reporter. Security throws their hands up like this. I fall asleep on the side of the street because I have a head injury. I go to jail. What are they wanting to do? It's horrible. This is a freaking nightmare.
So if Jillian falls asleep on the streets when there are beds available for her, she's fined. A fine she and others cannot pay. If somebody fines you for sleeping on the streets, can you pay the fine?
No, not at this moment.
No, I wouldn't. I'd rather do my time. You know what I mean? It's like we already down. Why kick us down even more when we're trying to get up?
I asked over and over, what do you want? How can our community help you? The answers, like the problem of homelessness, are, well, just listen to them.
All I need is a Greyhound ticket out of here. I would be out of here.
You just want to get out?
I just want to leave.
Maybe build more shelters, if possible, you know?
So there are so many people in our community who really dedicate their lives to what goes on inside the shelters, good people who do good work. Much of what we heard last night was similar to the testimony that we heard at Wednesday's City Council meeting. Obviously, we have to do a lot more work as journalists to find out if what they say is true inside the shelters. We'll continue to confirm those things they said about the conditions inside the shelters.
But to see Jillian and to hear her story about what she says happened to her 3 weeks ago, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that keeps you up at night. knowing that that happens. And I applaud you for going out there and talking to them, because so many times, so many of us, we just walk right by them, but they all have a story. And they're all somebody.
Exactly. My cousin is homeless. He's been homeless for 3 decades. He fits into the mentally ill segment of the conversation. And so when I go out there, I'm not afraid of these people. I see them as human beings and somebody. And we're going to do more at News 3. There's a whole lot more conversation to be had in the days and weeks ahead.
Yeah, putting names to the faces. Yeah. All right, we begin also with this. Look at this right now. A lot of celebration. You heard them. They're excited. It's a massive celebration of America's service members ahead of Veterans Day. Of course, it's happening on Monday. Hundreds of MGM Resorts employees now lining up at this hour to salute about 80 wounded warriors and their guests. So those are the wounded warriors and their guests walking through, and then on the sidelines, you see the people with their signs telling them, hey, you're great.
I love the energy that comes out of that picture there. There he is, walking on his crutches and probably feeling a little bit of lift from all that love. They call it the Wall of Gratitude for a reason. This is happening live right now at the Mirage. Maybe stop what you're doing and send a cheer right where you are in your own living room. This is an annual event in its 9th year, providing a weekend of relaxation and entertainment and sightseeing for active duty service members who we salute. MGM collaborates with a number of organizations, including the Unite Service Organization of Las Vegas, to pull off this event.
Pretty cool. Oh, wow. They're going to feel like superstars. And of course they are, because they do so much for all of us. Because of them, we can all be free. And of course, they're going to have a lot of things happening as well with like Terry Fader. So they're going to see some of our star power, because they're stars.
Yep, that's right.
Very
Excellent.
fitting.
Love it. In honor of National STEM Day, more than a dozen students from Legacy High School participated in the Amazon Future Engineer Robotics Camp. It happened today.
Yeah, STEM stands for Science, Engineering, Technology, and Math. And our Kendall Kim has more from the Amazon Fulfillment Center in North Las Vegas.
A group of students from Legacy High School getting a behind-the-scenes view of all that is done here. The team at Amazon describing this building as the place where all the magic happens when you at home click buy on those purchases. Here they pick, pack, and ship your orders along with the help of a team of robots. Now that is the focus of today for nearly 24 Legacy High School students on a field trip to this 855,000 square foot fulfillment center. The school's robotics team is taking part in the Amazon Future Engineer program, tasked today, as you can see, with building a robot. The teenagers at Legacy are the winners of a $10,000 Amazon Future Engineer Robotics grant. This money is set to go towards expanding computer science education within their school, along with supporting these students on the road to hopefully a national championship as the robotics team.
I feel it's a really good opportunity for me to learn more about the program, but to also take advantage of basically what I'm being taught.
Ultimately, we recognize that this field, we need stronger aptitude for science, technology, engineering, and math. And ultimately what we're trying to do is go and inspire kids to creatively think inside this space.
And when it comes to this $10,000 grant, Legacy High School is one of 150 schools across the entire nation to win it. They are the only school in the entire state of Nevada to have received this grant. Reporting from North Las Vegas, Kendall Kim, News 3. Happy STEM Day.
Happy STEM Day indeed. You know, teachers really can make all the difference when it comes to tough subjects like math and science. And today, CCSD once again praising 2 teachers who recently received the Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching in Washington, D.C. In honor of the National STEM Day, the district highlighted Arbor View High School biology teacher Heather Witt and Advanced Technologies Academy math teacher Kristen Taylor on the district's homepage online. Both teachers also earned a $10,000 reward from the National Science Foundation and received professional development opportunities in D.C.
All right, House Democrats released more testimony today in the impeachment inquiry from a former presidential advisor who described a shadow foreign policy in Ukraine, and a decorated veteran who listened to that July call between President Donald Trump and the leader of Ukraine, who's now at the heart of the investigation. A lot to unpack here from our nation's capital. Alice Barr has it all.
Facing increasing pressure with the impeachment inquiry about to go public, President Trump is back on the attack.
This is a scam by the Democrats to try and win an election.
Despite witnesses tying him to a quid pro quo, the president insisting the investigation doesn't have him worried.
But it's actually made me stronger.
And suggesting he might release the records of a second earlier phone call with Ukraine's president.
I have no problem releasing it. I'm very transparent. Nobody is more transparent than I am.
Despite that claim, his administration has been blocking witness testimony. Today, Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney skipped his deposition. But the Democrats' case is moving forward, releasing 2 new transcripts from Fiona Hill, a former White House Russia advisor, and Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, an Army officer on the National Security Council. Both say they reported concerns that the Trump administration was pressuring Ukraine to open politically motivated investigations. Hill testifying, quote, "We are now living my worst nightmare about where that pressure campaign could lead." Also saying she received death threats and calls at home during her time with the Trump administration. Colonel Vindman testified he believed the push for investigations would undermine U.S. national security and damage relations with Ukraine. Democrats laying out a roadmap for next week's public hearings.
The American people need to be part of this process. They need to understand what the issues are.
While President Trump is blasting the process.
Well, they shouldn't be having public hearings. This is a hoax.
Democrats say it's not a hoax, and it's time for the public to see why. Alice Barr, NBC News, Washington.
Presidential candidate Kamala Harris back in Las Vegas today to do something no other 2020 Democratic candidate has done right now. She will be the first to hold a town hall with the powerful Casino Workers Culinary Union. It starts at 6:30 tonight. Key topics include what she considers important issues to working people in the 2020 presidential race, like health care and creating more jobs. Then tomorrow, she plans to tour Veterans Village. Both events are not open to the public.
Headed your way this hour, more tornadoes to talk about this morning. Severe weather ripping across the Midwest. We take you live to Missouri, where unfortunately, 3 people have been confirmed dead. You're going to see the weather as it's happening in some cases this hour.
Also, underground project approved right here in the Las Vegas Valley. We'll tell you when digging could begin underneath the Las Vegas Visitor and Convention Authority.
Also, Fur Free, a fashion powerhouse announcing it's going to stop using fur in its products and design, and we're going to let you know when the change is going to happen.
News 3 Today starts now.
4 o'clock in the morning here in Las Vegas, getting ready for a live report out of Jefferson City, Missouri. 31 tornadoes touching down yesterday in the plains of the United States of America.
So this is live team coverage we're going to have for you throughout the broadcast. I'm also monitoring a live picture out of the American Taliban prison release, the stakeout camera in full effect. So this is a pretty busy Thursday morning, and that's the picture I speak of. Thank you to our great staff in the back, where we just say it here and it comes out there on your screen at home. So yeah, you're waking up to 4:01 in the morning here in Las Vegas, and a lot to talk about.
Indeed. So the weather's a big story around here as well.
Is.
So we're the Wagners on this Thursday morning. And in terms of the weather, chance of rain out there again and continued cool temperatures. Today may be slightly warmer than yesterday, but not much. This is the time lapse from the Springs Preserve yesterday, shooting right over the top of the Las Vegas Valley. You see a few rain shafts falling out there. We had about 9/100 of an inch of rain officially at McCarran Airport. Less amounts in other parts of the Las Vegas Valley. In fact, some neighborhoods were absolutely bone dry yesterday. Here's the current image, 53 degrees, winds out of the east-southeast at 3 miles per hour after hitting 67 degrees yesterday, the coolest high temperature ever for May 22nd. Today we'll bump it up to 70. We'll show you what's moving in for the weekend coming up.
And at 4:02, this is confusing, and let's try and set the record straight here. I just listened to a national reporter before I came up here talking about how they didn't hear about any injuries with this latest storm of tornadoes, the rash that just ripped through the Midwest. We are hearing from authorities in Missouri, 3 people confirmed dead because of the latest twisters to touch down in Missouri, and you're seeing some of them on the screen right now. It just seems like a J.J. Abrams crazy horror movie, but it's all too real. And the Missouri Department of Safety is saying that it was in Golden City where those lives were lost. The storm hitting last night. Crews have been going door to door to check for people who may have been injured. Emergency responders have been using a drone with thermal imaging to check houses for people who may be trapped. More rain is expected this morning. And then also we want to take you to Jefferson County, and we have what we call check out this video. And I know it's a little dark, but wait until you see all the devastation once they get the light there on it. And it was a massive wedge tornado that went through this area last night. Dana, I heard the description about a wedge tornado, meaning that it's simply, there you go, a wider funnel instead of it going up higher into the air. But the twisters catching a lot of residents off guard. Some of them did not hear the sirens. And you and I both listen to Robin Mead on Headline News when we wake up in the middle of the night. And this is where I'm talking about the discrepancy. She was very clear with the reporter, so no injuries to report. And the reporter said none to their knowledge. Well, by the time this broadcast started just 3 minutes ago, we heard 3 confirmed dead out of Missouri.
403 now, underground transport is about to become a reality in Las Vegas. The LVCVA gave final approval yesterday for a contract with Elon Musk to build tunnels and an electric transport system at the convention center. News 3's Gerard Ramallo has details.
Well, guys, this is not going to be just transportation. Those behind the project say it's going to be an experience that guests will want to partake in. At its very basic level, you can call it a people mover, but really, it is unlike anything we've seen before. The electric transport vehicles will operate in twin underground tunnels. Those tunnels will stretch between the existing convention facility and the brand new one, which is under construction near the Las Vegas Strip. And today, the LVCVA Board of Directors voted 13-1 in favor of a contract with the Boring Company, which is an Elon Musk company. They're going to be building the system. It'll take just over a year to construct. The individual cars will carry up to 16 people, which doesn't sound like much, but there will be enough of them, and they will operate efficiently enough, they say, to move thousands of people every hour. The project will cost nearly $50 million, but LVCVA President Steve Hill says it will elevate the experience of guests and will accommodate both current and future needs.
It's a system that has high capacity. It's innovative, it's fun. We think it'll be a great customer experience.
So once the plans are approved, they expect construction to begin in September. They would like the final project to be completed in about a little over a year's time. They want it to coincide with the opening of the expansion, which would be in time for the 2021 CES convention. I'm Gerard Ramallo reporting. Now back to you.
Well, that bit of timing makes a lot of sense. Right now at 4:05, brand new this morning, we are awaiting that former NFL player to walk into a local courtroom. And this is concerning the death of his girlfriend's daughter, where he's been implicated. There you see him behind the glass when he was doing one of those initial hearings. But he faces murder and child abuse charges connected to the death of 5-year-old Larea Davis. She died last month and was found with bruises all over her torso, legs, and abdomen. An arrest report details how this former NFL player would force Davis to exercise as punishment because he thought she was overweight.
A bill on the way to the governor's desk that could change the way we elect presidents in this country. Nevada could become the latest state to pledge to give its electoral college votes to whichever candidate wins the popular vote in this country, rather than the winner of each individual state. 14 other states are promising to switch to the new system, which combined would be 195 of the 270 electoral votes needed to win the White House. If signed, it would still need congressional approval and would likely face some legal challenges.
At 4:06, we opened up this hour with a live stakeout camera where the American Taliban prisoner is expected to be released today. And this is despite concerns from some in the intelligence community. Here's the stakeout camera I'm talking about. And right now we're checking in with NBC's Pete Williams to see what this means with the big release today.
Good morning. John Walker Lind is getting out of prison after serving 17 years of a 20-year sentence for carrying a weapon while fighting overseas for the Taliban. He was brought to the U.S. for trial and pleaded guilty. He told the judge in court that he regretted his actions and renounced terrorism. But the U.S. intelligence community says he has continued to advocate global jihad. And in a letter to NBC4 Los Angeles in 2015, he praised ISIS, calling it spectacular. An internal U.S. law enforcement memo circulated this week expresses concern about Lind's release, and a federal judge has imposed unusual restrictions, ordering, for example, that all his use of the Internet must be monitored. The FBI will be keeping tabs on him. I'll have the latest coming up on Today.
Voting underway in the European Parliament elections. It involves 4 days of voting in 28 countries. A live look out of London. There's the Thames. It looks very brown this morning. 751 seats open to represent 512 million citizens across the European Union. Parliament is organized by political affiliation or groupings. Right now, there are 8 of them. Largest are the center-right European People's Party and the center-left Progressive Alliance of Socialists and Democrats.
It is 4:08 right now, and still to come, we get to don red noses and show everyone on social media, because we're going to be with like the cool kids you see on your screen. We're going to explain what Red Nose Day is, why it's back, and why we think we're going to see it many more years in the future.
And this was an odd sight happening in the hallways of a hospital yesterday, as a student that was injured in this car crash here was wheeled through the halls. You're going to see that story coming up after the break.
At 4:11, they were supposed to talk about the I word, infrastructure, but it was another I word, impeachment, that had the president in a huff yesterday. Let's talk it out live with NBC's Craig Boswell. So he goes into a meeting with the House Speaker and also Chuck Schumer out of the Senate, and he leaves in 3 minutes, not happy, the president of the United States, because of what Nancy Pelosi said before that meeting, and that was talk of impeachment.
Yes, Kim, good morning. Yeah, that kind of summarizes it. A real clash at the White House. Yeah, yesterday about this time, we were talking about that previously scheduled meeting between President Trump and the nation's top 2 Democrats. Well, that meeting ended in anger and drama.
President Trump stepped into the Rose Garden after storming out of a meeting with Democrats, declaring he can't work with them and demanding an end to investigations.
You can't do it under these circumstances. So get these phony investigations over with.
These investigations are so paralyzing him that he can't function as president and do something that presidents have done, and that is build infrastructure.
The president angry about House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's public comments after a private meeting with Democrats about impeachment.
We believe that the president of the United States is engaged in a cover-up.
I don't do cover-ups.
More Democrats are pressuring Speaker Pelosi to begin an impeachment inquiry, angry over the White House stonewalling of investigations in the wake of the Mueller report.
All I can say is that I disagree with what the House is doing. I thought Mueller was the final word.
Both sides in this dispute need to take their meds and sit down and negotiate like adults, not like kids in the back of a minivan fighting.
On the battle over financial records, a judge ruled 2 banks can hand over the president's documents.
I anticipate we're going to see the exact same kind of decision when the House goes to enforce the request for Trump's tax returns.
It's part of the investigation into alleged foreign influence on U.S. elections. 2 federal judges have now ruled that Trump financial documents must be turned over to House committees. Kim, back to you.
Yeah, I knew we were in trouble, Craig, when the president didn't refer to the House Speaker as Nancy. So there was no Chuck and Nancy talk when he walked out into the Rose Garden. I went, uh-oh, what are we in for? And then you just detailed what we saw. Craig, thank you very much for that. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Right now at 4:14, we continue to monitor the weather as it's happening. And right now it looks like the calm after the storm in this live image that is coming to us out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. But Dana, we know it was Missouri in particular that really got hammered yesterday, and they're not done yet.
Right, 31 tornadoes in the plains that happened yesterday, and the strongest one looks like it came right before midnight under the cover of darkness in Jefferson City, Missouri. Talking about 3 people killed there, and they're most